All right. Sydney test. Day one. Pakistan put up 313 after being like 220 something for nine. They put up around, I think, 85 or 90 runs for the last wicket partnership. Ahmed Jamal is a revelation, Zain,
Yeah, he's the next
isn't he?
Abdul Razak, bro.
He's better than Abdul
Yeah,
Razak.
no,
This guy
hey,
is
hey.
better.
South Africa
Uh,
versus Pakistan, fourth ODI. That's still one of the greatest ODIs of all time.
yeah,
Uh,
that's one game, dude.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, well, what did you think of day one,
I
man?
just want to say,
We like
Hottest and Rameez aren't here, but I'm wearing my Property of Ohio State shirt. Shout out to Hottest Ahmed, cousin of Surfaraz Ahmed. Yeah, continue.
Sarfraz number one fan,
Yeah,
right? This guy's still advocating for Sarfraz to be in the team
yeah,
somehow.
yeah,
Rizwan scored an 88 yesterday, high score on the team. This guy,
yeah.
this guy's still talking
Surfaraz
about
could have done better.
Sarfraz. This guy, I loved it when he was like, "There's room for both on the
Yeah,
team," and I'm
yeah,
like, who are you taking
yeah.
out to put
This
Sarfraz
guy's
in?
better
We're taking out South
keeping
Shakil.
and batting skills.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, yeah, us talk a little bit about the game yesterday, right? So Pakistan, won the toss, batted first. We were really excited about, Saim Ayub, and that didn't work out too well. Abdullah Shafiq and Saim Ayub openers both got out for a duck. So yeah, I mean, Saim Ayub got a peach. I don't know if you saw his
yeah. That,
wicket.
in all
He
fairness,
just unplayable.
yeah. In all fairness, that was that was a welcoming ball, and Alhamdulillah, he's got it out of the way. So hopefully, he doesn't get that again. You know?
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, second innings, he's gonna put up some runs.
Yeah,
I'm hopeful that he's gonna do that. But yeah, what'd you think overall of the day?
yeah. No, I was pretty. It was nice to see Rizwan's batting. I think he played really, really well, and he kept the scoreboard ticking. Um, Man, it disappoint. Like, I don't get mad when Bobber gets out after like such a good start or anything. I get really sad because I know he has the skill set to do it, but it's just like where's his mind at? And 2023 wasn't the best year for him. So sorry, man. I don't know. I just want to make sure this is good to go. But 2023 wasn't the best year for him. So, you know, 2024, I was hoping like it's January 2nd. I was hoping it started off with a nice bang. But he did well, but he could have done better. Um, but I'm hoping for the second innings that he comes back strong. Bobber Bull batted well. Shani batted well. Rizwan, obviously, Amr Jamal, those two stood out. And then Aga Salman again, right? Like he has to take some chances because he bats with the tail, basically. I mean, they don't let him bat with anybody else. They only let him bat with the tail because of the way things occur. He did really good with Rizwan, but then Rizwan got out, and that's it, right? Like, there's no recognized batsman after that, and then he kind of has to do it's all on me. Let's rotate the strike, take a single if you can, but
Yeah, yeah.
I'll do
I
what I
thought he
can.
did, and we'll get to Amir Jamal later too. Amir Jamal, I thought batted exceptionally well with the
Oh,
tail. I thought
100%.
this guy farmed the strike first. He was farming the strike really well, and then he was just doing the right thing every single over. He would play like the first three or four deliveries. If he was able to get a boundary, he would do that, and then he would get a single somehow. Um, and then later on, once Mir Hamza came, and he was like starting to get a little bit more comfortable. Once he had played like he was like 0 from 20 or something, he started trusting him a little bit more, which was good to see. And then they were just kind of doing their thing. I was really hoping he would get 100. Man, he was at 82, and I was like, this, he might do it.
Hmm.
There were like 4 or 5 hours left until the new ball, and I was like, that would be really good to see. But on Aga Salman, I think you're right. Like this guy always has to bat with the tail. He's too good a batsman to be doing that. I
Hmm.
think. I'm almost starting to think he can bat where South Shakir is batting.
Yeah.
He's good
They're
enough to do
interchangeable,
that.
I feel like. They have the
Um,
same sort of aggressive technique. Um, and they I feel like they both have the same mindset and the temperament when it comes to the game. So I think yeah, they are interchangeable. It's just like situation based. Um,
yeah,
but
yeah. I mean, I don't like the idea of pushing South Shakil too far down the
because the
other
other
too.
thing is then
So
you put
I think it's
Rizwan,
fine the way it
you
is.
put Rizwan lower,
Yeah,
right? Which is generally where he should be. He should be playing at number 6. But then he comes in at number what, 5? Was it number 5 or 4? And he scores like 88 runs at such a nice strike rate. Then you're just like, what do I do here? Like that's the little conundrum there. But
Yeah.
Aga Salman should cement that spot and really focus on that. But um, yeah, it does suck when you're batting with the tail, right? Because you have to change your. It's hard to trust the other end.
It's an art, man.
Yeah.
It's a totally different way
Hmm.
of approaching the game, and you can't just do play how you would regularly play. And I think for Amir Jamal, somebody who came into bat at 9, I think that he did exceptionally well
Oh,
to
100,
to do
and
that,
gotta
right?
give
Like he came 7 down and
yeah,
uh,
gotta give props to Mir Hamza, man. Like he really knew his place. Like he was like, I'm not here to score runs,
yeah.
dude. If I get a single, cool. If I
Yeah,
nick
well, I
it
mean,
and goes
we
for
were
four,
shitting on him. I was shitting on him a lot for in that MCG test, and we haven't done an episode for the MCG test. That would have
it's
been
too heartbreaking.
a lot to talk about there. Maybe if we have time towards the end,
Yeah.
we can do like a quick review of that. But Mir Hamza played that slog over mid or tried to play that slog over mid wicket right on his second
Hmm.
delivery, and he got out.
Yeah.
All he had to do was see out 2 balls and give the strike to the I don't know, I can't remember who it was on the other end. It might have been Amir Jamal actually.
Mm.
Um, but he didn't do that. And this time he, like you're saying,
He
he
got
he
chipped
was
on.
doing the thing he was supposed to
He
do.
got
He
a,
got
yeah, he
prepared
got
on,
a
and then
little
he was
chipped on.
doing the thing that he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, like I think this is Pakistan's day, man. Like 313 is not a bad score.
100%.
You got to give it to us. I think when they were particularly when we were like 40 something for 4, 90 something for 5, and then you're looking at like 220, I think it was for 9, you'll take 313 any day, right? And then I really liked, it was only one over towards the end there where Warner and Khwaja came out to bat, but I liked what Shamsu did. He pulled the first over with Sajid Khan, and he put people around the bat, and it looked threatening. Like he almost got, I don't know if you saw that first
No, I
over
didn't.
towards the last over of the day, but it was intense, man. It was like Warner hit the first ball for a 4
Hmm.
on the back foot towards cover, and then the third ball he almost got bowled out. He kind of tried to defend on the back foot. Ball, he did it, but the ball bounced, and it bounced over the stumps.
Oh
um
man.
Super close. Like it was I think that was just a kind of out of the box idea, and we often talk about that
No,
when
that's
talking about
sick.
captains. But I think that was a great move.
Yeah.
He put people like he had a short leg, he had a uh 3 other people around the bat, and it was just good to see. But yeah, we'll see what happens today. Pakistan, let's get into the discussion about, I guess, as I'm thinking about, Pakistan bowling today. Shaheen Rafidi not playing this game. What's your take on that?
I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea. I know Wasim and Wakar were uh super upset about that. But I think that's a good idea, man. Shaheen needs rest, bro. And I, I, here's the messed up part is that he shouldn't be sitting out the third test in Australia um, as needing rest. He should be sitting out some other stuff, but it's just from where he's come to now, it's fine that they rested him, but he should have been rested maybe a little bit before this, maybe before. Um, I guess it was, maybe I think he should have been rested maybe before the Asia Cup. Um, when he was playing league cricket, like he went to play the 100 and this and that and blah blah blah. So I think he should have been rested then, or he should have been rested for the New Zealand series that's coming up. Like I don't know if this was the prime, like it's like all right, prime time to do it, but he should have been rested. So yeah, you're gonna be upset about it that he's been rested, but he should have been rested a while ago, and that's why I won't argue with that. You know, but it's up to the management. Like, again, right? Like these guys need to know how to manage the load of these players. If they can't figure that out, then you're gonna just have a bunch of fucking has-beens, which is what Shaheen is turning into.
Yeah, that's exactly my thought process too. I think if you were like, this is not the game to rest him. I know you've lost the series, but this matters, right? Like your World Test Championship is a thing. Points matter. You want to win this game. You've never won a
And there's
test
no dead
at this
rubber, right?
venue.
Like this is not a dead rubber technically. Yeah, you've
Yeah,
lost the
this is not a dead
series,
rubber.
but you can
Um,
salvage for sure.
Yeah, and conversely, the New Zealand series, and but exactly what you were saying, right? Like I would have liked to rest him in that New Zealand series, but I understand that you can't because he's the captain, he's a new captain. You want to play him, he probably wants to play, but I think it's just It's just the idea of like you need to plan a guy's year out in advance, right? And say, okay, this is where you can get some rest. You don't want to be sitting in the third test in Australia. That's important. I just, I wouldn't have rested him.
Well, this
I
is
think I
where
would have played him, and then I would have sat him for like, we're playing T20s leading up into the World Cup only, so he can rest one series. I think that's fine.
but this is where the conversation comes in as to should we make him captain? Right? Like if you go back, that's where it should go to because you're kind of asking yourself, should we make him captain? He can't like he needs to rest, but he can't rest. This so what? He just rests where he's not captain, so tests, like which is the most generally, the most like think about it, dude. ODI World Cup just happened. Now within less than fucking 8 months, we're having a T20 World Cup, and then less than another 8 months, we're having a Champions Trophy. Like
Yeah,
it's the value of these tournaments guaranteed doesn't hold anything anymore, right? 2022 we had the World Cup, 2023 we had the world or sorry, 2021 we had the T20 World Cup, 2022 we had the T20 World Cup. It was like exactly a year apart. Like the value for these won't hold. So white ball cricket, yeah, it makes the money, but people are going to start moving towards test because that's where like the excitement is and stuff right now from my perspective,
but
right?
that's the problem, right? I think that, and maybe we can chat a little bit about the South Africa New Zealand test tour too, right? Because we saw that uh the squad that
Yeah,
South Africa
yeah.
put out for that tour, and I don't know anybody on that team other than Hamza Zubair. Um, their captain is somebody who hasn't played a single test. Bunch of players I haven't. I guess if you're South African and you follow their domestic circuit closely, you would know some of those guys. But that squad looks terrible. They're gonna get smashed over there. That's probably not even their second uh, tier team. They're all going to be playing SAT 20 over there, and that's the reason that nobody can play. So either schedule them better, or just it just looks bad for Test cricket. And like you're saying, it sounds like what teams are starting to do now is preparing for this, which makes sense, I guess. Preparing for the World Cup, but at what point? Wasim Akram brought up a good point, I think, in commentary yesterday. He was like, no one's going to remember uh, the New Zealand series 10 years from now that Shaheen's going to play. If he gets us this win in Sydney, everyone's going to remember that. You know what I mean? So that's like, you need to prioritize these things better. You need to manage a guy's workload. I'm not saying keep playing him. That's nobody's saying that. You just need to manage it in a way that he can rest either before or after for longer periods of time so that he doesn't just, completely become a shell of himself, which like you're saying, he already has, right?
Yeah,
So
he's close to it.
it's just terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean, I think his attitude plays a role in it too, a little bit. But like, so if we talk about if we kind of expand on the test piece and like whatnot, South Africa, New Zealand, like, yeah, I saw that. Like Keegan Peterson, I think, is the only specialist test batsman that's playing those games, and
Yeah.
again, like the SAT 20 is the reason why it's so crucial is because it's Indian money and Indian supporters, right? Like that's where it comes from. They
Yep.
even time the game so that they're easily able to watch in India, just like CPL. CPL games, some of them are like 7 o'clock in the morning their time, right? Like they don't.
Are you
Yeah,
serious?
yeah, so that it's easy for Indians to watch, right?
That's
Yeah,
insane. I've never
a
watched
lot
any
of
CPL or
a lot
anything,
of
but
people complain about that, and they've done that, and so
7 a.m.
so the last time India toured South Africa was when? 2019. In order to make my point, I just need to double check this.
What are you checking?
The last time
मैं क्या
India
करूँगी फिर? मतलब the podcast is still
I
going.
know the last time India so the last time India toured South Africa was I think it was 2019, right? Kohli was still captain, I think. Or
Mhm.
something like that. And so I was reading somewhere that the last 3 years, South African cricket has been in a deficit, like revenue deficit. They haven't made money. This tour of India, with India coming to South Africa, erases the last 3 years deficit, and they will finally be in the green because of this one tour. So this, when they prioritize the SAT 20, where I'm sure Graham Smith has gone to these players and be like, "Listen, you're not going to New Zealand, bro, or New Zealand's coming. You're not playing them. You're going to be playing the SA20 because we need
नहीं तो
viewership and
फिर
we need
टेस्ट
all
क्रिकेट
that."
गोली मारो. Why the fuck? Who needs test cricket then? Just
This is a
fuck it,
prior
right? Like
priority. This is a prior commitment to before
I
before
will say that all these ex cricketers who are now on commentary talking about like, oh, you gotta preserve test cricket and like it's a
they would have done the same thing.
crucial form. They would have done the same thing. Wasim Akram, you think he would have prioritized playing a
Because that's
test
what he said,
tour?
right? He's like, "Do you wanna be do you wanna make an impact or do you wanna be a millionaire?" Something like that, he said.
Yeah, says a guy who was in multiple match fixing scandals. Right?
Allegedly, you can't say it was confirmed or else
I'm like, it was
he could probably
यार
sue
Kayum
you.
report में सारा कुछ है. Kayum
Yeah.
report was nobody did
Allegedly.
anything to him, but
Allegedly.
yeah, allegedly.
Yeah, I heard the guy that did that
Wasim Bhai should be the
investigation.
last guy talking.
I heard the guy that did that investigation really liked his bowling, so he's like, "Fuck it, I'll give him a pass." That's wild. But yeah,
नहीं वो
so
सलीम मलिक को ज़्यादा पकड़ लिया था.
but yeah, so I think that's like, with South Africa, it's a different story. With West Indies, again, it's the same thing, right? Like West Indies was more the players. These guys were like, "Yo, we just started making mad money because we're big hitters and we took that role," right? Like they revolutionized the T20 game by being just big hitters. Chris Gale is like the
Yeah, and
pioneer of that, right? And
yeah,
they were like,
yeah.
"Screw the West
Man,
Indies cricket
I don't
board."
know. Yeah, man, I'm just thinking about like look at the optics of like the Australian tour is like a prestigious thing, right? Like teams
Mhm.
want to go there and play a test tour, and they get to choose who they want to invite. They're gonna have India over for 5 tests next year. That's there's I don't think India has ever played a 5 test tour in Australia.
Mhm.
We can look that up, but I it's normally 3 or 4. I think last time they played it was 4,
Mhm. Yeah, it's
and
been
usually
4 for
it's
the last
3.
few years.
So 5, they're doing the Ashes thing with India now, 5 tests,
And
and
England
that's
already
like
does 5 tests
they're
with them.
England, yeah, in the Ashes, right? So that
No,
that's
with
like
India. They do 5 tests with India, right?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
India's touring for 5 tests too. So those 3 teams are now just building their own little group, right? And it's
Mhm.
always been like that
And the
for the
thing
last.
about these Australian players, not the English, because they got their own, like, weird, like, internal, like, mechanics to figure out, but Australians and Indians, dude, like, they could tell their players, "You're not allowed to play other cricket. You're still gonna make mad money. We're gonna pay you a lot, and we're gonna tour a full squad everywhere we go." Like Indians, they're not allowed to play in any other leagues. They get paid well, they're rich,
Yeah,
and they get
yeah,
their best team everywhere they go, right?
yeah,
So
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, the what I was saying about like the touring Australia being a prestigious thing. I think the optics look poor when you rest your best bowler in the last test.
Mhm.
From Australia's perspective, they're going to be like, all right, if you don't want to fucking prioritize this, we'll invite somebody else over. You don't get to come 4 years from now or 3 years from now.
That's
Um,
another thing, right?
you
It's like
know,
every 4 years too, which is, I mean, the Boxing Day
but it
series.
would be sooner if you had a good team and if you
Mhm.
were, if you were, it was competitive, right? So that's part of it. I think our team has been way more competitive than we thought they were going to be. So that's good to see. I think they've put up a fight in the last test. They're putting up a fight right now. So that who knows what's going to happen in this test, but uh, that's part of it. But also, like you got to show that you want to compete here, right? You can't rest your best bowler and be like, oh, and they publicly said that we're resting him. They could have at least make up a fucking lie, right? Like just be like he's injured, he's got a niggle in his
Yeah,
hamstring or
yeah.
whatever.
Do you think
Don't tell them you're resting your best player.
do you think that there's, like, a way that the PCB can, because they've already increased their salaries by, like, a bajillion percent, right? So it's like, "Here, we're gonna pay you this amount of money. You're gonna do everything we say you're gonna tour when we tell you to, like, you're gonna stay with the team. We'll give you 1 NOC. You could choose whichever league you want. That's 1 league, but if it, like, conflicts with something important, you're not allowed to do it. And we're gonna focus on being better as a Pakistan cricket team." They obviously have the money to pay them, right? Like,
Are
dude,
we sure? They haven't paid their domestic players in like 5 months, apparently, I've been reading.
but, like, I mean, this is a government entity at the end of the day
सारे
as
पैसे जा
well.
रहे हैं ज़का अशरफ की जेब के
That's the
अंदर.
problem, I think, right?
That's the
Like you
problem.
could easily be like Shaheen, Hottest Rolf, listen, like, okay, BBL is like your baby, go ahead, play. That's it. There's nothing else for you though, and you need to put all your time into Pakistan cricket. Other these other players like Babar and
Wait,
Rizwan.
these are so you need to think about these are all in addition to PSL too. Obviously, the hardest Rowe is not going to miss out on PSL and play BBL, right?
No,
So
but
that's two leagues
PSL
right there.
is their thing, right? Yeah,
Product.
it's
Yeah,
their
yeah.
product. They need
I get
that's
that.
like SA-20, right? That's why you're sending the people that didn't
Yeah.
get selected basically for these teams, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. We talk about the same shit every time, but it's a slippery
नहीं और
slope.
अब नाउ दैट यू मेंशन हारिस रऊफ मुझे अब ध्यान में आ रहा है कि हारिस रऊफ को उन्होंने कहा था कि भाई यू वी नीड यू डाउन देयर यू नीड टू प्ले यू कैन bowl 10 overs a day. When he was saying I want rest, it was they were like, oh, we need you in tests. Now you're resting your best bowler and citing rest as an excuse. It just makes no sense to me
It's
that
because they've
that you
already
would do
lost
that.
the like. From my understanding, it's because they've
So
already.
we make it. There's so much on the line here. World Test Championship is no joke. There are points on the line here. The New Zealand series. What is like? What are you gonna get if you win 5-0? That does nothing. Doesn't change your ranking
Ranking
in
is
T20s. We're already
everything.
ranked.
All
Yeah,
right.
but that's the fucking problem, right?
Yeah,
Like, fuck the
that is the
ranking.
problem.
You're playing exclusively T20s leading up in the World Cup. I don't think Shaheen missing that series and you making your vice captain the leader is gonna do too much. You're probably gonna do just as well as you would, right? Um, I don't know. It's terrible the way this is shaking. And now you have 300 runs on the board, and now I'm looking at the bowling lineup, and there's no Shaheen, and I'm like, okay, this just fuck. Like Hassan Ali's gonna open the bowling now. it's gonna, it's just sad. We'll see what happens today, but I don't think we're gonna get too many wickets here. What do you think? You're
So
on
we're
mute.
bowling with Hassan Ali, Mir Hamza, and Amir Jamal, and then Sajid Khan and Aga Salman.
या सो 4 बॉलर हैं, 1 स्पिनर है, 3 फास्ट बॉलर्स हैं। हसन अली और
And
मीर
Aga
हमज़ा आज
Salman
ओपन
is
करेंगे
a
बॉलिंग।
good spinner, right?
Yeah, I mean he's a good part-timer. I
Yeah,
think
like
he's
he can take some load off. I don't know what's gonna happen. I think Mir Hamza is probably our best bowler on that. Amir Jamal is good too, but I'd say Mir Hamza might be better. Um, but it's
but
tough to
that's what I'm
say.
saying, right? Imagine if you had Shaheen.
Yeah, but he's not there, so
Well, I'm just saying he could have been playing,
yeah,
right?
a hundred, 100%. But he's
He could have been
not. He's not though, right?
he could he could have been bowling at
Shoulda,
129,
coulda,
swinging
woulda.
it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. He could have been pulling a little bit of that medium pace.
अगर हम if we don't win that fucking T20 series now, I'm going to be really upset. Let's talk about. You want to talk about India to South Africa?
Yeah, that
What
was
a
wild. That
crazy
was crazy. Yeah.
test match,
Did
right?
you hear what Ravi Shastri
एक
said?
दिन में, yeah, the dump thing,
Yeah,
right?
that was hilarious. If you went around the corner to
Let's.
take a dump and came back, your
He
team's
doesn't have
all
a
out.
British accent,
Your
dude.
team's
Why are
all
you doing a
out
British accent?
because it's a mix of Ravi Shastri and some British guy
He has
taking
a
a
pretty
dump.
standard Indian accent. Let's
That's
recap this
racist.
game. I'm gonna go through the scorecard. I'm gonna go through. All right. So for first inning, South Africa pulled out for 55. India 153. India were 153 for 4, and then they got lost the last 6 wickets for 0 runs.
Yeah, they did.
That's when Ravi Shastri made the comment about if you were taking a dump around the corner and you came back, the whole team would have been out. Something like that, right? Ravi Shastri
That's
is
legit.
like he's so extra, isn't he? Like
No,
this guy is
that's
unbelievably
he's
like
absolutely correct, and I love his
like he
correctness.
could have he could have said if you went to the bathroom and came back, or if you went to get a glass of water and you came back, but he had to say if you went to take a dump.
Because he's right. That's the truth.
Yeah, he is right. Well, some people take longer to take dumps, so that's just
Okay.
you gotta be specific with these kind of
Yeah,
things,
it's
right?
a Osman type of dump. But then there's
2 hours ago.
some people that take their phone into the bathroom and they're keeping up with the score. So
That's exactly what I'm saying,
yeah.
dude. You gotta well, like he didn't specify which kind of dump it was. But yeah, South Africa batting second, 62 for 3. After at Stump Sunday one, so 10 and 20 and 23 wickets fell on day one, and I think this is a record of some sort.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, even the record
Most
is
wickets in a day.
6 wickets in for no score or whatever. That's a record as well.
Hold on, I'm looking at most wickets in a day stats here, and this test is supposedly somewhere in there. So I don't know. I don't see it, but they posted a link to it on Quick Info. Anyway, 23 wickets on day one. This test is probably gonna end tomorrow. Probably they're already. I'm reading the Quick Info thing. I didn't watch any of this match, but they're talking about the pitch being like probably gonna get a poor rating because what are you eating, Then?
Nothing. I was just packing something up. You scared
Let
me.
me see what it is. Let me see what it is.
I got a new watch,
Like,
so I bought this little thing so that it can charge on here, but it's kind of lame, so I'm just like screw this.
you need to stop doing that in the middle of the pod because like everybody can hear it.
Oh, sorry, sir.
You were
Forgive me.
playing with that coin one time. You don't have to edit this shit out, right?
Sorry, man.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. तू चारा उदासी हो गया. Okay. Um, yeah, South Africa, this pitch is probably going to get a poor rating. They're talking about it on the commentary and on Quick Info, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, this is crazy. Like,
23 wickets is a lot, dude, especially when you're bowled out for 55. And they're like,
yeah.
Mohammad Siraj has figured out the South African way. Bowl on a shitty pitch. Yeah.
Ball on a pitch that moves miles. Apparently there's variable bounce and there's also a lot of seam movement. So that's like a recipe for disaster. If you're a batsman.
I think
But
it's
Ader
true.
Markham, second innings, opened the innings. He's 36 from 51, batting at a strike
And
rate
they're
of
down
70.
3 already.
And they're down three. And what's the deficit right now? 36. So they're trailing by
They
36.
might give them
Probably
like,
gonna give a target of like 100
yeah,
max, and
that's
then we'll
it.
see what happens.
And then India will probably win this one.
Imagine India loses again.
It's quite
Uh,
possible, though. This pitch is pretty messed up.
yeah, yeah. That's weird though. Like I'm seeing a lot of Twitter discourse from Indian people around this, and they're like, "Oh, when we produce ranked turners, it's like everybody gets mad and we get a poor rating and shit like that." But South Africa doesn't, and it's like, "Oh, it's a good contest between bat and ball."
No, it's not.
It's like, do you think it's the same thing?
See, with fast bowling, it's very. Okay, so here's my take on it. Right, with fast bowling, every country produces. Like, I think that every country has at least 2 to 3 good fast bowlers. Right, when you take on a tour, like look at India, they have Jasprit Bumrah and whatever. We know who they
Yeah,
are.
that's a good
Right,
point. That's a good
South
point.
Africa has, but when you in India and Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, out of all fucking places, dude, Bangladesh is the worst for this. They have good spinners, right? So they have good fast bowlers and good spinners, so they play to their strengths. I mean, I can't say much about it. With for example, like one of the things I was reading is the South Africans, they pulled back. They were doing full, like they were bowling full, and then they pulled back, and that's when they got those like 6 wickets after tea or whatever it was, right? So it's like you have to understand how to play on the pitch. When you produce a rank turner, you literally just throw it and it just like zings out, like it goes anywhere and everywhere. But I know, like Nathan Lyon has done well in India. Um,
I think
Graham
you the point you bring
Swan.
up about not every team having a good spinner is a really good one because you're right.
But
Not
why should
everybody,
why
right?
should a team that has good spinners and plays good not produce? Okay, like a rank
That's what I'm
turner
saying.
is whack. It is whack. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, it's turned into, w- instead of producing good contests, it's turned into how do we manipulate to win, right? Like
Wait, so hold on before you go on. So what you're saying is correct, I think. But this pitch in South Africa in Cape Town right now, do you think it's doing the same thing?
what?
Like not producing that's what you said, right?
No,
Not
this is a
producing an even.
completely even contest because they both have really good fast bowlers. And look at, if anything, South Africa is going to lose this. I think, because they, like the other game, the first test,
Yeah,
that was different, right? Like India couldn't play their fast bowling, right? But they also bowled pretty well. But then Dean Elgar scored like 185 or something like that, right? Like he was able to put up a big score. Like you were able to bat on that pitch. You just have to figure out the best way to bowl on that pitch, right? Like
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
with a spinner, you have to like the pitch assists you a lot, and you have to. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to say. I still don't think that you should like you should get upset with India for producing. You know, like it's different
Yeah,
if you
I
give
think
it
I
both.
think they take it a bit too far though, right? That's the issue. I think that's what they did against Australia when they came and they produced like those pitches where they were way more dry around for the left-handers, and Australia had like six left-handers. That we've talked about that on the show before, and that's you're taking it too far. That's like you're
Mhm.
specifically targeting a
They'll yeah.
opposition
Yeah, they'll do
and
anything to
and
win,
and
right?
that kind
And
of thing. Right?
the thing is when again, I always say it, when you have like a nationalistic people where their whole life is based around like India, 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 it's not about cricket. It's not about anything else. Like that's what's gonna happen, right? Like you don't see, like freaking
यार जैन वी
Dumbass
हम लोग
Rameez
जो है
Raja,
ना
listen, dumbass Rameez Raja said we have to put roads on the pitch, right? And we were like, this is stupid. I want to see some good cricket, right? Like, we lost the third test. So we had to deal with
I
freaking
will never
15
yeah.
days of bullshit, right? So,
और फिर भी हार गए.
yeah,
I will never
exactly.
forgive Rameez Raja for producing those pitches because you had Australia touring after such a long time
It's
and you
just
produce
dumb,
those dead
right?
wickets.
Like,
They're gonna be like, why are we gonna go back there for a test series? Because you know they
even when
two drawn matches and then they won on the last day in the third one. They wore us down, and that's the thing with Australia. We've talked about it, right? They figure out a way, even in those ridiculous conditions, they figure out a way to beat us,
I don't
and they
know if
went
you
home with the
remember the
trophy.
2010, 2012 tours of Abu Dhabi and Dubai, of Australia and England, where Pakistan used to cream them, right? Misbah used to freaking screw them up. Saeed Ajmal used to take six, and Abdur Rahman used to take four, right? And they used to put up a score
Yeah.
of like 600, right? Like it was, you'd bat first, put up a massive total, and then you just tear them apart. I think the
यार
pressure of
उस
putting
टीम
up
में फिर भी क्वालिटी काफ़ी थी,
right,
उस
100, I
मिश्रा की
agree.
टीम.
But what I'm saying is, what's the difference between what they did to what India does now, right? Like, or what other teams do where they, yeah. See, I guess the
Yeah,
fast
do you
bowling
remember
piece is a
the
little bit different than spinning piece, but go on.
Yeah, yeah. I like Indians like to bring up the idea of like why are we getting singled out for producing these pictures when South Africa does the same, Australia does the same. I don't know if you remember the Australia South Africa series when they played last in Australia. They played at I think the Gabba or wherever the first test was, and it was a green pitch, and that test ended in like 2 days.
Yeah, where it was like
I don't know if you
I
remember.
don't yeah.
Travis Head scored runs. He was the only one who scored runs in that match.
Mm.
He had like 100 in the first innings, and then I remember Rabada got Warner on the first ball of the innings. There was variable balance. There was a lot of seam movement. The pitch, like I remember looking at that pitch, like an hour before the
But
game
see,
started, and they show put up a picture.
Australia doesn't always do that. The MCG was a high quality pitch where it was good chit contest between bat and ball. There was
Yeah,
swing, all of that.
that's the other thing.
You know,
Like that was a rare one for Australia.
Perth was Perth was it's a bouncy pitch, but if we go with players that are bowling 130, like we're not going to do the same as Stark, Cummins, and like those guys are genuine crazy fast bowlers,
Yeah.
right? Like they have height, they have everything. So Australia doesn't do that all the like, you know what I mean? Like that's not
No, no,
they
they
don't
don't.
they
They
don't
don't. I
do
was
that.
just remembering
Yeah.
that one instance where that happened, and I think that pitch
S-
actually ended up getting a really bad rating from the
South
ICC
Africa has
because it was like,
yeah, South Africa has crazy pitches. Everybody knows that. Any team that goes there, like that's what they have to deal with. I think that it's not even them doing that on purpose, right? I don't think it's
yeah,
because a lot of
yeah,
it's like, just where they play, right? Look at New Zealand. New
yeah.
Zealand has some of the most beautiful grounds in the world. They have like it's really good for fast bowling. It's not that good for spinners, but that's just what it is, right? But I guess like fast bowling is a worldwide, like look at Pakistan, right? Like they're not a fast like they are a fast bowling nation, but if you look at it and you're like, oh, the subcontinent is only good for spinners, that's not true because they produced reverse swing. They figured all that out, right? India has
Yeah,
some of the
yeah.
best spinners in the world, but they also had Irfan Pathan and Zaid Khan, and they have like Jasprit and all that, right? So
Dude, their fast bowling right now is pretty good
it's
too, and that's why
amazing.
I think the point you made about every team having good. That's a really good point because you
Yeah,
would back as India would back, Bumrah and Siraj to take wickets on those South African wickets, and they did in the second test, right?
exactly.
So I don't think the comparison is there as much as Indians want it to be because they lost the first test, but
Yeah.
yeah, it is what it is.
It's
Anything
boring,
else you
like,
want to talk
right?
about?
Like, I mean, it's exciting to see people take wickets, but when you look at the scorecard of India and South Africa after 2 days, you're gonna be like, "This is supposed to be
Yeah,
something that" yeah, but it's whatever. No,
yeah,
that's all I wanted to
yeah.
talk about. That's it. Oh, I
Nothing
have a
else.
question for you.
Yeah.
What's the difference between Mohammad Hafiz and Mohammad Kaf? Nothing. They think that a team that they think that a team that actually wins doesn't deserve to
Oh
win.
yeah, we haven't even. Okay, I think we should spend some time on the MCG test. There's a lot. Actually, before now that you mentioned the fees, there's a couple of things came to my
Let's
mind.
talk about Hafiz. I don't wanna
Uh,
talk about the MCG test, man, I'm too depressed. Let's talk about the
okay,
after
fine.
effects and Hafiz.
Fees, yeah. So the After Effects one was the thing you just mentioned, right? Where he was like, "We were the better team," and that's like, you can't be that delusional. We were not the better team overall. Like this guy, come on, that like you can't be thinking that and telling that to the press. That's concerning if you're if you're a Pakistan fan. You like, yeah, you played well, you hung in there, you hung in the game, but you were not the better team over 5 days. The better team won over 5 days. Yes, we dropped that catch or three catches. Abdullah Shafiq dropped, and yes, we could have um, made some more inroads at that fifth wicket for Marsh, and then maybe the target is around 180, 200, and maybe you chase that down. But that's not what happened. I think you whatever it is, you can't say that to the press. That like
That's
I
just
don't
dumb.
think I wasn't sitting there when that game ended thinking, oh man, we were the better team, we got robbed. Like that's not what
Bro,
happened.
how
And
messed
he was
up is it?
specifically referencing the Rizwan thing, right? The caught behind.
How messed up is it that, like, we're like, "Oh, Hafiz," like, when Hafiz became, like, this person, I was like, "Oh, you know what? The guy's, like, pretty educated, like, he's pretty smart, he has, like, akal, he'll, like, do something or he'll have some
मैंने
sort
तो
of."
नहीं कहा था ये मैंने
I
कहा था
thought
कि
about
ये
it, right?
चींटी है.
And then he comes in and he's another dunger, right? Like, there's no difference. Same with Misbah. People call him one of the smartest, like, I think he's one of the smartest minds in cricket. And then he becomes like this chief selector and this and that. And then he's just a fuddu again, right? Like, there's just, I just don't
Yeah,
get it.
something happens,
I
ये
just
कुछ
don't
हो
get it.
जाता है as soon as they become like something happens to them when they become coaches or management and shit
Or
like
just
that. The other thing
employed.
about Hafiz, uh, did you see this? He he imposed fines on people
Or
on the
sleep.
team if they were like sleeping in the as you're yawning, if they were sleeping in the dressing room and shit like that, and if they weren't like
Like,
switched on.
when the game's going on, or like
Yeah,
overnight,
so
or
when
like, I
like
don't
your
get it.
team's batting and you're sitting in the dressing room, he doesn't want people to be like sleeping.
Like every single person, or just the 11, or what? Like, I'm just confused.
I don't know, but that's what the news was, right? And there was a more like I think I think what he the fine is for like if you're not paying attention, if you're not switched on, even in games, I guess you're gonna be fine. But the funny thing about that is this guy, I don't know if you saw, um, before the Sydney test started, he missed his flight going to Sydney.
Yeah,
I don't know.
because of his
Did you see
wife
that?
or something like that. That's so
They were
dumb.
roaming around the airport and he missed his flight. And it's like that's really funny to have happened right after you were like
You were
you gotta
talking about,
stay
like,
switched on.
yeah, like, discipline and stuff. Hafiz is being like, and why do
Unreal.
you have to, like, go to the media with that? Like, you look like a clown, right? Like, that's, like,
Well, he's
almost
trying to
like
act like a hard ass,
that,
right? He's like, oh, I have these set standards for
but
like
that's, like,
shit like this,
embarrassing.
right?
To me, it's like embarrassing your kid over something so stupid to, like, how, like, those parents, like, will go on Instagram and be like, "Today, fucking Kyle, he messed up, so I'm punishing him, and this is what's happening." Like, dumb stuff like that. Like, that's how Hafiz is acting.
Who talks like that? पहले मुझे ये बताओ. Who
People.
who who did you pretend to be right
People.
now?
I can't say
Like
names,
white
dude.
people?
You choose. You decide.
What? Okay, what? Tell me the race of that person
No,
you just were.
hell no.
Okay, fine, fine. Tell me the age of that person you just were.
35 housewife. 35-year-old housewife.
Okay, okay. Sounds like it could have been a
Anybody.
Shaniqua.
Oh, good god, man. Yeah. But yeah, like that's the
Oh
way he's
Lord.
acting. He's an idiot. Straight up. He's not very
Yeah.
bright.
He's he is weird. But what bothered me the most was like the comment about like we were the better team because we weren't, and like you're completely fooling yourself if you're thinking
If you
that.
think,
I
yeah,
I, I don't think
exactly.
anybody believes that. Somebody asked Pat Cummins about that in his press
And he was
conference,
like,
and Pat
okay.
he was like, "All right, cool, we won, so it doesn't
Yeah.
really matter. Good
Yeah.
for you."
Yeah. That's so stupid,
Uh,
but yeah.
but yeah. Anything else you wanna bring up quickly?
No, I
You
can't.
wanna talk shit about Haris and
Hermes?
Rameez?
Yeah.
Rameez is still on the Imam train.
Yeah, man, he was I thought he was like, I could have heard he was, like, crying a little bit, that Imam got dropped. And Hottest was
Yeah,
crying
and then
because
he was
Surfraz
like,
got dropped.
I bet he was jumping for joy when Simon Ayub got out for like
Yeah.
0 runs.
He's like, "I told,"
Easily.
just tears, wiping away tears. "I told you guys."
Then he prayed Doshik Ranik in the first, you know.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't wait to clip this out and send it to him. We're gonna make
And
a meme out of
Hottest and
this.
Surfraz.
I can't believe Haris
I
still
think
wanted to
Surf
front the
I
team.
think Hottest was really advocating for that caught behind and saying, "Yo, look, Rizwan's so stupid. He got caught behind like that." Right? Yeah. Oh, Surf that would have never happened to Surfaraz because he only sweeps.
Safraz got embarrassed in that first test, man. To be fair to him, I think that was the wrong match to play him in. That was probably the worst pitch that he could have played on
Yeah,
because bouncy pitches are not his
not at all.
strong. I think he would have done okay at MCG maybe,
I think so too.
but they played him
And
in
he
the
would have
worst
done
one.
well, I think, in this pitch too, but
Well,
that's it.
Safraz is actually I
Surpraz's
don't think he would have
career should
done.
be, I mean, career, international career, it's time to
Yeah,
call
he's
it quits.
done, man. Jan Chordoski
Yeah, it's
or
time
Jan
to
Chordo Pakistan ki bhi. It's over. Haris, I'm sorry, but it's over.
they have so many other batsmen, like, in that position that you can take.
Yeah, who is like the up and coming keeper in our team after Rizwan? Do we know?
No idea.
Maybe Haris knows.
Hottest
I think
probably
he
knows,
knows.
yeah, but, when does the under-19 World Cup start?
Under 19 World Cup. I don't know. When does it start? You tell me. Should I look it up? Why did you ask me that? Is there something specific you wanna? Hello.
Sorry, I'm on mute because 'cause I'm clicking.
Yeah,
I don't
this is
know.
not a conference call. This is a podcast. You
I
can't just go on mute.
This is why it's better to have one more person so the conversation can keep continuing. I
Yeah,
don't
we're
know, but
both
I
like
was
on our
looking. The
computer.
squad was announced, and the series is showing as it's coming up. When's the first match?
Oh, Jan 24th is the first match.
Jan 19th is the first match.
Sorry, Jan 19th, 2024 is
What's the
what I meant.
table? Oh, India, Pakistan aren't in the same. Oh, but there's four groups, and then what does it turn into? Does it?
Pakistan, New Zealand, Nepal, and Afghanistan.
That's not bad, eh?
Speaking of Nepal, your boy Sandeep
My boy, you
Ravichande,
need to chill out.
he's your best friend.
Oh shoot, dude, they only have it's gonna be pretty quick. So everybody plays like their group and then it's oh no, they have the Super Sixes. I thought as much. So that means B3 Super Sixes with how many teams? A1, A3, A4, A2, C1, C3, C4. So that means that this isn't Super Sixes. This is like Super 16.
क्या मतलब कैसे?
I'm confused, man.
Super Sixes Group 1.
Because it's saying A1, A2, A3, A4. But I don't.
Yeah, Super Sixes के दो group हैं, you're right.
Oh,
Whatever, this is a weird format.
yeah,
There's
this
a
is
lot of teams.
super weird format. Yeah, because see, it says so. First match is C2 versus B3, then A1 versus D2, then D1 versus A3, then A4 versus D4. Oh, that's a
If
16th.
some
Okay, anyways, man, I'm confused. I shouldn't look at it because the
yeah, people
16th place
who are
playoff and
listening is
all
are
that.
gonna be
Yeah,
like, I
cut this
they're
out.
gonna stop the podcast.
Yeah,
They're
Joe.
gonna they're gonna tune out.
Inshallah, tonight's a good
Chalo.
10 wickets out. We'll take 10 wickets tonight.
Day two starting in about an hour and a half our time. Um, let's hope Pakistan can get some wickets today.
Yeah, if we
Get
can
them
get them
out
out for
for it'll
250.
be really nice to 313 is our highest score in the series so far. So hopefully we can get a lead. But without Shaheen, it's looking unlikely.
Yeah, inshallah.
He bowled well in the last match. But yeah, thanks for listening. We'll be back after this test match ends. I think we'll do another one. Do a review of the entire tour. Preview, I guess, the New Zealand T20s where Shaheen will definitely be playing, and
Shout out
yeah,
to Hardis
take it
and
from there.
Rameez. I love you guys.
I don't, so
That's it. That's all it is.
that's that's it. Yeah, I love you guys. Yeah, thanks for listening. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Shot Yard. Follow us on YouTube at Shot Yard. Sorry, Instagram and Twitter is Shot underscore Yard. And YouTube is Shot Yard. And visit us at shotyard.com. Thanks for listening. Peace out.